pass over to your wonderful chair of this event, Hannah Williams.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, hello everybody. I hope you're all enjoying the festival so far. So you're here, I'm guessing, because you want to learn about how to work in production and how to be a good runner, or maybe you want to work in another area. And we're going to be talking today about how you can well equip yourself ready for your first day. So I'm joined by a really amazing panel of people today. They've all got really different experiences in the industry. They've all worked on set, obviously. I have also worked on set. And we're going to talk today about how to prepare for your first day, what's going to happen on your first day, who you should be talking to, who you should be impressing, how to be confident and make sure that you're making the most out of the opportunity, and how to progress from there in getting more work, because hopefully that's what you're going to want to do, and you're not going to be scared off after your very first time, which might happen. Okay, so, hello, my name is Hannah, and I've worked in the industry for about 9 years. I've worked in casting mostly, but I've worked in production as well. And at the moment, I'm working with Backstage. Our logo is down there. We're the casting partner of the Future Film Labs that happen every month. And you might have seen me before if you go to those. I'm usually stood in the corner giving some advice to casting people who are casting their projects on how to work best in practice for casting. So if you want any advice on that today, just come and find me afterwards, and I'm really happy to help you out. As you guys are coming through the Future Film Festival, then you get free use of Backstage, where you'll be able to cast your projects. We've got a ton of talent profiles on there, and we also do crewing as well. So that's me. I want to know a little bit about you guys, actually. So raise your hands if you want to direct. Okay, I need to do this to see you guys. Okay. And if you want to produce. Where's all the producers? Okay. Camera department. Sound. Who wants to be a casting director? Yes! Yay! What else? Art department. Edit. Post. What have I forgotten? Actors. Yes. Okay, cool. What about anything that is not on that list? Screenwriting, writers, obviously, yeah, okay. Great. Okay, so I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves. We're going to have a really nice chat, hopefully, about everything that I've just mentioned. And then at the end, I'm going to open it for questions. I know from the guys that I've met at the Future Film Labs every month that you're an enthusiastic bunch, so keep them stored ready for later, and I'll take it to the floor later on. Okay, so Krissi, introduce yourself and what you're up to.
Hello, my name is Krissi. I am Managing Director of a company called Mad Dog 2020 Casting. I think we're arguably the biggest extras agency in the UK. I also work as an actor, and I have worked as a producer. I had my own production company when I first started, and I also work as a casting director, so quite a lot.
And Warren.
My name's Warren. I run a production company called Lab Class. We predominantly work on TV commercials, but we also work on animations. We do short documentaries, brand films. So basically we work with brands and businesses to help communicate their message, really.
And Pascha?
Hi, I'm Pascha. I've worked in many different roles within production, ADing. I've worked for the art department, but again it's kind of as a production role, and now I'm working in costume for Netflix at the moment, so costume coordinating. Bit different. I can't sew, don't tell them that.
So really varied routes into the industry and different experiences, and there's not one clear-cut way, and you should always find a way which is right for you as well. Don't ever think that you need to stick to a very direct route. It's very higgledy-piggledy when you're going into production, and that's the fun of it. You need to find out what you like and which route is right for you. So Warren, you direct the content that you create. So why did you decide that you wanted to create your own production company and not be a freelance director from the beginning?
Well, from the beginning, I just wanted to make movies, and I didn't really take the conventional route. I suppose it's all a bit, it's a bit crazy. There's not really any sort of conventional route. But I basically knew that I wanted to make movies, and how do I get there? So I just thought I'll just start making films, making short little documentaries, with the hope of doing TV adverts, and basically that production company is my vehicle to get to making movies, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why I set up a production company.
And you get to keep all the money to yourself as well. You're not on a freelance wage all the time.
Well, I mean, it is a bit different. So if you were to shoot a film, you know, you've got your budget, you're working towards that. With shooting a TV commercial in fashion, for instance, we could have a budget of like 300,000 for a 3-day shoot. We're taking care of the whole campaign, and it's a bit different because you've got the pressure of the client and the brand, and basically my job is to sell their product. So not only have we got the production budget, we've also got a marketing budget of like £1 million, and then they put that out, and then hopefully they sell the product that I'm trying to show in our ads.
So you're not just directing it. So if you start up your production company and you're going from, you know, shoestring, but like doing everything yourself right at the beginning, it is quite a producery role then, isn't it?
It is. But then actually, so the lead up to shooting a TV ad is all aspects basically. But on the day of shoot, we all kind of slot into our roles. I'll direct, and everybody else does their job. So.
Yeah. So when you're on set, you're directing, but
exactly. Yeah.
Cool. And Pascha, you have worked in loads of different departments. So I worked with Pascha quite a few times over the years when I worked in extras casting with Krissi as well. And we worked on The Falling.
Falling, I think, was the first one.
Yeah. And Beast.
We worked on Notes on Blindness.
Yeah.
Most of the indie films, I think, use Mad Dogs. They're brilliant, helpful. You get what you need. So as crowd second, it's actually one of my favourite roles. I've done it about 4 or 5 times. On the smaller films, on the bigger films, it's faceless, really. But you can go through the script with the director. And some directors are really, or they'll have it written in the script that they want a person that looks a particular way. But otherwise, you can pretty much do it a little bit yourself. You can suggest to them, I reckon there'd be 7 people who look like this in this pub. It's a bit of an odd pub, you can pick some weirdos. That's always fun. But we've worked together on those.
Yeah. So did you start and you wanted to be an AD? Explain your journey.
So my journey was, I am obsessed with film and have been my whole life, and didn't really think of it as a career. So I guess I was bizarrely late starting to it, and I think I was 24. And I furiously Googled any films near Oxford, because, you know, and there was one really low budget, I'm not going to divulge what it was, really low budget feature, and that was my first one. And one of the guys there said, can you file? I said, yeah. And he goes, brilliant, you should be a production assistant then rather than a runner. But then my next job, which was The Falling, I thought I was being hired as a runner, and then on the call sheet I saw that I was crowd coordinator, and I didn't even know what it was at that point. So I was at work Googling, what does a crowd coordinator do? Turns out, book all of that. So that's how it happened. You get in one, they gave my name. I thought I was interviewing for a runner position, and I wasn't.
And then, so from then, you've now worked in costume?
I've now worked in costume, art department. Essentially on the bigger films, I work within the department, because the department, for example, that I'm on at the moment, which is costume department, coordinating that, is about, it's at its biggest, it's going to be about 250 people that I'll be coordinating and booking in, and we organise all the fittings and all of that stuff. Whereas on the Falling, on a smaller film, there was probably the entire crew was maybe 50 people. So that's how I kind of, it's the same level of coordination. It's just you take, on the smaller film, I'm in charge of everyone and everything.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the bigger things and there's just more people, more to do, so
Yeah.
it works.
Wow, cool. So, Krissi, you start as an actor.
Yes.
That's where you entered the industry.
I was thinking about that earlier actually. The first time I was ever on set was as an extra for Mad Dog Casting.
Was
I'm now
it?
managing director of, which was about, too many years ago. But
Oh my God.
yeah, so that
Can you
was
remember what it was?
Alexander, that gives away my age, Alexander the Great, and I went on as a double for Angelina Jolie.
Ah,
terrifying. Terrifying. But yeah, that was my first ever experience of being on a big production.
Yeah.
So that was how I started, and then I trained as an actor. I went to drama school and got sort of fed up of not being in the sort of films that I wanted to be in. So I started working with a group of friends, and we started making our own content, our own films. And then I think we produced sort of between 8 to 10 short films, and then I produced a feature as well. And it was all really, the reason I did it was as an actor, to get in the films with the sort of directors that I wanted to work with and the people that I wanted to work with. And then from there, I realised I don't like producing and I don't want to do that anymore. And I really enjoyed the casting side of it, and then went to Mad Dog and freelanced as I was acting, and then the rest.
Yeah. So similar for both of you guys. You started creating your own content
Yes,
as a
definitely.
vehicle to direct and to act.
Yeah. Totally.
Cool. Well, there you go. So that's a great tip. For me, like, I've never created any content myself, and for me, and maybe for some of you guys as well, it feels like quite a scary thing to take on, like quite a massive challenge to do that I've never done it. So talk about your experiences with creating, like how did you navigate that from having an idea to creating the project in a way that was, I don't know, not...
I think you start small. I think
Yeah.
I know friends that are now working as really good directors that shot their first film on a phone, and I think you don't have to start with a massive crew and loads of people. It's the story and the people that you work with, and I think it's really important now, whilst you're just starting going into the industry, is to find your people and the people that you want to work with and the people that you have the same creative vision as, because I remember we used to talk a lot, and we have a really similar taste in the films we like, and so to find those people in your group that you have the same sort of passion, and then start small. You can devise something, you can come up with ideas, and with phones these days you can just start there and put content on YouTube. And I think that's really good to just get the first experience. But I mean, you're probably better to talk about that because you've...
Well, actually, we've got something in common. My actual first day on set was an extra.
Was it?
Yeah. So I was dressed as a 13th century knight running around with a sword. But I wouldn't recommend this. But I ended up speaking to the DOP, and I was asking him what
You're my worst nightmare.
don't do it. But yeah, the DOP he answered all my questions. So yeah, why was he shooting on film? What the frame rate was? And he's like, I got some dude with a sword asking me all these technical questions. And then they call action, and then I'm running, and there's people doing somersaults, and but for me, I didn't want to be an extra. I wanted to know what was going on set. Yeah. So I just thought, right, I'll get there. All the other extras were just on their phone, and I'm just watching and observing, listening to everything. So just being on set doing that, I learned loads.
That's really good advice, though, to ask questions. I mean, just maybe don't do it when they're in the middle of a scene. But I think that's if
with
you're
a weapon.
Tell me your secrets.
But I think you should ask questions when you're on set, and especially if you do things like extra work, you are around a lot of people, and there's a lot of standing around. And if you do get the opportunity, I definitely used to be terrified of asking questions. I was so so worried about looking stupid or asking the wrong thing, and actually, most people don't know what. Half the time you ask the question, people don't even know the answers.
No,
and
exactly.
you get so wound up.
Everyone's winging it. Nobody knows what they're doing, like, honestly. And actually, I think that most of the time, if you ask a question and you do it in the right way, I mean, there's not a wrong way unless you're being really annoying and you know, speaking in at the wrong moments when they're rolling or whatever, then it makes you. I respect that more than somebody sitting in the corner. You know, I would rather answer the question. Yeah, okay, cool. So, Pascha, what was your first gig on set and how did you get that one?
So that it's only a couple of years ago. It was a short film, and I think I found them on Gumtree.
Oh.
I honestly think they were
looking for a sofa?
On Gumtree. Yeah. And I went up, there was a short film called Jezebel. And I had done a course in New York, a short practical filmmaking course, so obviously I thought I knew everything. And so I turned up and I was like, well, I can be whatever you want. But because I'd worked before in kind of admin, very exciting, I was doing production assistant, so I had no idea what I was meant to do in that position on set. So, but I am innately bossy, so it kind of worked out okay. I do remember being thrust a radio and just sort of looking at it.
That is one of the scariest things, I think.
And they go, so you know how to use a radio? Before I could even answer, they had run off, and I thought, well, I better really quickly find out.
Google how to work a radio.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that was like an iPhone 3, and I probably had no battery by that point. So it was just, and I definitely got caught, like, in the loo.
Oh no!
Sat down on the radio.
Oh my god!
Just came back out and everyone just looked at me. So that was fun. So learn how to use a radio.
Take it off your jeans. Yeah, turn it off. Oh my god! Yeah.
And I was doing anything and everything. Yeah. You're always in your car. That's one bit of advice. Get a driving license. Get a car if you want to be a runner, because you will be in your car constantly, running off to get milk, running off to get this, going and picking someone up, going and getting something because it's broke, and just, constantly running around everywhere, getting, I do remember actually on one of the first films. So if a stuntman is going to be set on fire, he covers himself in petroleum jelly, and we didn't have enough, so I had to go to every single chemist in the area and buy as much KY jelly as possible.
Oh my god.
That was a little bit embarrassing. That was one of the first ones, yeah.
Cool. And Warren? Well, you've already said you were an extra and you were an extra. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think I was I was like you, crowd control. Yeah, and it was very scary. The radio thing, there's two things that I really think is quite important to get your head around before you have your first day. The first one is the call sheet, and being able to read a call sheet and know what everything means, and when things are happening and where you should be at those times. I mean, you can find those out from your point of contact on set, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but being able to read a call sheet and know what's happening. The second thing is definitely how to use a radio, because, oh my god, we had quite a few, I won't mention any names, but quite a few bad times where there's different channels on the radio, and you have to talk on certain channels, not on the main line for personal conversations. Not personal, but not things that everybody needs to hear about. And breakfast was it, yeah. You can get told off. As I did, yeah. Okay, cool. So we've spoken about our panel and their experiences. Before we talk about your first day on set, you need to get your first day on set employed. So if you're just entering in the industry, obviously be really resourceful. If you've got contacts that you can utilize, then do that. Do not be embarrassed to ask someone if you can help them, because, you know, people need help, and especially in the film industry, there's always a spare pair of hands. If they go in handy, then they go in handy. If they go in spare, I think it's spare. Anyway, if there is somebody who wants to help out and they're eager, enthusiastic, and they look like they're switched on, then chances are, you know, somebody's going to say, yes, come and help us out for a day. If you don't have any contacts whatsoever, first of all, you're here, you're in this room. Hopefully you're going to be networking later on today. Somebody in this room, or quite a few of you hopefully, are going to be making your own films. So just ask if you can go and help them out on set for one of those. Even if it's not as a runner, you might want to work in a different department just to get a bit of experience of being on a set. And then you can add that onto your CV, and then it won't be so scary. Because when I was thinking about this panel, I was thinking about my first day on set, which was, I'm from Wales, I don't know if you can tell, but my first day on set was on a TV shoot for, it was either Being Human or Switch, and you guys are probably all too young to know what those are, Being Human maybe. But it was quite a big production actually, and I didn't know anyone who worked in film. No one at all. I had no idea that that was even like a job that was within any sort of reach of me, being from Rumney in Cardiff, that would be a job for me at some point in my life. So when I went on set, I had no idea what I was doing. If you know people who are working on smaller sets, who are working with a crew of like 10, go and work on that one first, even if you're just a runner for 2 days, because then it's going to prepare you even slightly for a bigger production. So yeah. So when you're hiring with Lab Class as a production company, and you've got, well, yeah, tell me about your hiring process and how somebody new can grab your attention.
So we've got, we're quite a small team. We've got like six or seven full members of staff. We've got art director, video editor, we've got an animator, and then my business partner, who's a producer. So yeah, we've got quite a tight, super talented team that are full-time employed by Lab Class. Then obviously depending on the shoot, on whatever we're doing, we then bring in our bigger team. I would say over the past 7 years of doing this, it's just building my network. You know, I've got my team. You know, it can be as big or as small as I need it to be, and I got that from just working on set, working with lots of different people, and there's just certain people that I spotted, certain stars, and I'm like, I want to work with that person. And
you'll like take them from job to job then?
Absolutely, yeah. So I've got people that have worked with me for 4 years on lots of different projects. And then employment, I suppose, recently we advertised for a video editor full-time position, and we actually, the day-to-day run-ins of the production company, we do a 4-day week, so we have like Fridays off, but we do 8. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's nice.
Well, we started that in January, and it is amazing. So we start at 8 in the morning, finish at 6:30, and then we get a 3-day weekend every weekend. So
I do my stuff, aren't they?
we're all just like, so do you need a
so, but then if we're shooting a TV ad, then it all changes, and we're working, you know, all the hours, 7 days a week, with the run up to that. But yeah, we've recently employed somebody as a video editor. I had over 100 applicants, and I would say like 60% of them were you know, good, and I get that down to 10. And then all the interview process, and we found our superstar. He hasn't started yet, but super excited to do that. So it is competitive, but I've also had people just knock the door, and I'm like, okay, coming up, and they just sit there and say, I want to work with you guys, and then I'm like, just come and do it. And then one guy, Richard, he knocked the door. He was a graphic designer, and he's like, I want to get into production. And he spent 7 months with us just working. He'd come on set. He was amazing.
Yeah.
And the experience that he's got now to go on do his thing. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know what.
Yeah, so knocking on the door, take maybe not that for all, for all things, but
it works for me.
yeah,
You know,
exactly,
it's fine for us.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you never know until you try. Like I said, like just being resourceful and using your own initiative, and just making sure that they can see that you are enthusiastic in the right way. There's not a wrong way to be enthusiastic, but just so much that they can see that you're employable, and you would be a good member of staff, and that you would be able to work with them. Yeah. So Pascha, you spoke a little bit earlier about the scale. I mean, the sizes the difference in sizes in production from something like the Fall-In to other bits that you've worked on. How, if somebody wanted to have their first day on set in something like a studio production,
Yeah.
is that even a possibility? How does that work from getting a job in that way, or with like an indie feature? How does that differ?
I'm going to be completely honest. For me, with the bigger films, it's because I knew someone on it.
Yeah.
I knew someone on it. They knew how I worked. I direct messaged them and was like, babes, I want to work on this. Is there anything going? That sort of things. Because I'm trying to think on the work experience people that we had. Just finished, come off the back of Maleficent 2, and then was on Bond for a little bit, and we did have work experience people, and I honestly, one girl came up to Pinewood Studios. Don't know how she got past security. I was really impressed. They are.
You got the job. If you're getting past that far, then
She was extremely assertive, but very polite.
yeah.
Very polite. Knocked on one of the office. I think she was going around to every single office building. I don't know how many times she got,
Yeah.
told to politely go away, I'm sure. Knocked on the door and said, do you mind if I give you my CV? I'm looking for work experience. And we took her on for 2 weeks. But a lot of the time it is, do you know someone? For the bigger shoots. The more indie features, which are still now, they're getting a lot more money, they're getting a lot bigger, and they're doing really well. They're up there, winning the awards with the big films. A lot of them, they're posting on Facebook. And I will sometimes post on Facebook. You kind of ask people you know first. Also, I think I asked one of the girls, the trainee in my office today, I said, before I come here, how did you get this job? And hers was through uni. So I don't know if any of you are on filmmaking courses, but just ask your tutors, is there anyone that, because if I get an email through with a CV when I'm on a big film, if it says, I've got your email from so-and-so in the subject, so work experience, email from whoever, I'll go, passed on my email, have they?
Yeah.
I'm more likely to look at it and
Take
be
it,
more likely. So if there's just, I know that's awful, isn't it? But that, or maybe joining things like creative skill sets.
Yeah.
Because on the bigger films you will, especially when there's huge days when you need lots of runners in. There's places like Skill Set, they will get AD trainees or art department trainees.
Is it called Screen Skills now?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Screen Skills. Yeah.
Again, I'm
Sorry. Yeah, no, they really, really recently changed to Screen Skills.
yeah.
But they're a really good resource. But yeah, your tutors have been hired because they are industry practitioners. So they will know people in the industry and hound them. That's what they're there for. They need to be helping you progress in your career. So just make sure that you like Warren found his star with his editor, make yourself known as somebody who really wants to do well in the industry and try and stand out above your classmates maybe, so that you are given those opportunities, because he or she can't give them to everybody. So yeah, tutors is a really good one. You spoke about Facebook groups. There are a few which are really good. So is it
people that know people?
People who work in film that know people in film. That's a really good one. I know one.
And they have the TV one as well.
Yeah, and there's the TV one. Yeah. Those two are good. There's, I know there's like 2 producers. They'll make all the money. There's one called Production Rabble.
Yeah.
Which people will let you in. You've got to kind of be a little bit experienced a little bit. That one's good. there are lots that
Yeah.
you can join, and they're posting jobs all the time. There's also one which I think has got quite a good 20,000 people on it, and they're always posting for last-minute runners or my first
Time.
something like that. It's looking for or people looking for experience of runners on set. I can't remember what it's called. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's my first job in film. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So social media. It's great. So we spoke a bit earlier about you guys. I've been an extra as well. Have you ever been an extra?
No.
Okay. You've never been roped in.
Oh no, actually no, I have.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been
It
blown
happens.
up. Yeah, on a really.
Sorry?
I've been blown up. On a low budget. Woo. It's awful.
Yeah.
I should never ever be allowed in front of the camera.
If anybody wants to, how can somebody make the most out of that experience if they want to work in production?
I think they really can. I think there's sort of, well, especially for actors, I think there's a few actors in here. I think there's a sort of stigma that if you're an extra that you'll never work in the industry, and I actually think that's nonsense. Directors, they're too busy. Everyone's way too busy. So, that guy third from the left, never get him in.
As long as you don't put it on your acting CV, then.
No, don't do that.
The extra work, don't do that.
But it is, for actors, it's great. There's a lot of sitting around. So if you're an actor who's training, that needs to read plays or that needs to use that time to read, do that. I mean, I've got countless stories of people that have gone on as background and then been featured. I think you've definitely worked with people, haven't you, that are now with United and big agents, and people get upgraded all the time. I had someone a few weeks ago that was upgraded and sent abroad for a 20 grand job, and they only went on for £100. I mean, that is it doesn't happen all the time, but it definitely does happen. And also we get cast-ins for featured roles as well, that comes through, and especially with the commercial market, because we've got so many people on our book, sometimes they can't get those faces with the agents, so a lot of casting directors will come to us and say we're looking for something really specific, and also I think the good thing about doing extra work is, especially if you're in crew, you'll meet so many people doing it, especially if you're on one of the big studio films. There's a lot of photographers. It's a job for freelancers, so a lot of crew do it. So even if it's not what you want to do as a career, I would go and use it as a good networking tool. You're bound to meet other crew, you're bound to meet other people on there, and just when you're sitting around, talk to the runners, talk to people, and it is a lot of waiting around, it's long days, but I think if you use it as a tool and just think, right, I'm going to go on set and I'm going to make 2 contacts out of this and I'm going to earn 150 quid, then it's not a bad thing to do at all.
Definitely not.
But yeah, don't put it on your CV if you're an actor.
No. Absolutely not. So we've spoken about how to get work, how to get your first job on set. So you got your job, amazing. So what you're going to do now, you need to prepare. So don't just rock up on the day, and you need to have some sort of confidence in knowledge that you're going to have a little. You need to know a little bit about what to expect before you go on set. So we're going to talk about how you can prepare. Pascha is obviously endorsed by Google, so lots of Googling how to find out how to do jobs. So I want to ask everybody on the panel, was there anything that you wish you had known before your first day or first job in production?
Loads, but I'm trying to think of the most helpful one. I think it's to ask if you don't understand anything. Like I said at the beginning, you can do as much prep as you need, but you're going to get on and you're not going to know what someone does, or what's that grip do, or what's that person over there, I don't know. And I think it's, don't be afraid to ask. Everyone started where you started when they first got on set. Everyone at some point didn't know something, and I think that there's no such thing as a stupid question. Pick your moment to ask it, but if you don't know what a word means or you don't understand something and that's going to hinder getting the job done properly, then just ask. I don't think anyone minds that. In fact, I think people are. I think it's quite refreshing, because I think so many people you see on set sort of, I know this is my department, I know how to do this, I know how to do this. So when people are like, oh, I'm not sure actually, can you give me some advice? I think people really respond well to that. So for me, it's just don't be afraid of looking silly. Just everyone's been in that position. Just ask.
Don't be offended if someone doesn't have time to answer your question. It's never going to be anything personal. I think that's a really like, ask the question and somebody might be like, not now, because they also might have their radio going in their ear and they can't actually even hear what you're saying. But 100% ask, because the last thing you want when you're working on a set is somebody pretending they know something, because you're going to get stressed. Like, if you pretend you know something and pretend you know everything that's going on, at some point someone's going to figure out that you actually don't. And it's fine that you don't, but when they figure out that you don't, that's when the problems will start. That's the thing. Ask, but just don't be offended if someone says, "Can you just ask me later?"
I think that's a really important thing as well. Like, I not even just my first time on set, like my first few times, and then also when I moved to London and I was working on larger productions. My God, the first time I was in Leavesden Studios, I had the shock of my life. Like, I was so like. The thing of everybody is busy, and sometimes you might get quite a short response to a question. Like, thick skin it up, because it's not you, it's not a personal thing at all. Like, that's something that I wish I had known, that it's not me. I'm not asking stupid questions. They just have someone talking in their ear, they have somewhere to be, they have to walk some people onto set. Like, everybody's really busy, and don't take huge offence and go and cry when you get home, which is definitely not what I did. So as an actor, how do you prepare for if you're on a shoot, how do you prepare for
yeah, that's very different. I think it depends what you're doing. If it's a commercial, just get loads of sleep, drink loads of water, try and look all right. If it's for quite so I did a film recently that was quite a sort of emotionally hard role, and I think the best thing is to sort of just try and get rid of tension. I think it's scary to go in, and if you're playing a role that demands something quite emotional for you, I think just spend some time in that morning, find out what your process is, and for the actors in the room, you'll go and see a lot of teachers and they will all tell you do this, do that, but you have to find your own process, and the one that's right for you. No one knows everything, so when you go and you have these classes, take what's useful and leave what's not. And that was actually a big lesson I wish I learned as an actor. I'd go to so many classes and everything everyone said to me, I would think, oh, that's the way and I can't do it, but it's nonsense. You take what you can and you use what you can, and I think before you go on set, just try and relax. You're always going to be nervous, you're always going to be scared, or at least I am, and I think a good warm-up, a good voice warm-up, and then it's just thinking about your character's intention, the first scene that you're shooting, how that character's feeling, and what you want from the other person in the scene. And I think, that's...
Yeah. So you still get nervous then?
Totally, and I still... Even though I'm managing director of a company, I still don't feel confident. I still get imposter syndrome. I feel like I shouldn't be there a lot of the time. And I think that's just something now that I'm learning that's probably going to happen for the entirety of my career. I'm going to walk into one room with certain people and I'm going to feel nervous. I feel like I don't deserve to be there. And I think that's okay when you know that that's always going to happen.
And
a lot of people feel like it, right?
Oh my God, everyone feels like
imposter syndrome. I love that. I've never heard that. You just think maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah,
Great.
No, I think you should always actually have a look. Maybe not to the point where it's like making you anxious, like, or giving you serious anxiety problems, but you should always feel like slightly like that, because otherwise you do know everything and you're staying in one level.
And it's just a good indicator that you care as well. Like, if you feel like that, you care and you're doing what you should be doing.
Like, you should be out of your comfort zone constantly.
Yeah.
Like, if ever you feel like, oh, this is easy, then
do
there's
something else.
you need to just keep pushing yourself. Like, none of us know everything. We're always learning. You know, it is just out of your comfort zone. If ever you find yourself where you find it easy, just keep pushing yourself. Yeah.
So as a director, you tell me about how you prepare for not only a day on set but a shoot overall, because like you said, as you're owning your own production company as well, you're more involved in that.
So we take care of the whole production from inception right the way through to delivery to network. So we take care of all the clearances, all the deliveries, all the formatting, and then all the pre-production. So just even coming up with ideas. So a brand will come to us and we will just pitch our ideas. And then from that, then we've got all these different stages, from scripting to storyboard, and each kind of stage milestone is signed off by the client, and then right the way through to booking the crew, and then so preparing for the set. So there's like maybe, you know, three months pre-production. There's all the casting, and then yeah, day before shoot. I would probably sit down with the first and DOP, just go through the shots. Yeah, by then it should be all prepared. So we're quite calm at that point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before the day before a shoot, it's nice and easy because everything is boxed off basically.
Yeah. You've got more control, I guess. Like that's your work that has made you get to that point where you are calm the day before a shoot, because you're the person, and you know your team.
Well, I mean, we've got the client obviously. You know, the client is on set with us.
Yeah.
They're looking at every single shot, and yeah, it is great. I got some amazing clients, and yeah, it's really good.
So, if you are starting out as a runner on whatever size of production, unless it's, you know, through your friends, people that you know, who is your point of contact? We're talking a lot now about asking questions. There'll be certain people that maybe they shouldn't be your first port of call to go and ask questions to. Who is the person that you report to in the morning and that you can, you know, speak to throughout the day?
So there's so many different runners now, but if you're a floor runner, so you're on the floor, you're on the set, it would be the third AD. Mm-hmm. So the third AD would kill me for saying this, but they're essentially like a head runner. Oh, they're not. They do so much more than that, so much more than that. But they are the gatekeeper between you and the first AD. You as a runner, don't rock up and find the first AD. Don't do it. Introduce yourself at some point. Hopefully ask the third to introduce you, or they should do anyway. They should say, this is so-and-so, they're coming to run today. So that would be your first port of call, would be finding the third AD. And then secondly, find the tea table. Find where the tea table is. Find where the loos are. Because that's where you're going to be.
Yeah.
Popping back and ferrying people to. And just find the third AD and try and find out where everything is. And wherever the camera is, get behind it.
Yeah.
You do never want to accidentally rock up in front of the camera.
Oh, is that something that actually happened?
Yes, it has happened.
No way.
I've seen it happen a lot.
A member of crew?
Yeah, you're in
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
watching it going, who's that?
Oh my
Who
god.
booked this person?
It was me. Okay, let's have a look. What are we doing on time? We're going to get some questions from you guys in a moment. Actually, let's go to questions now. You might have some better ones than me. So if you have a question, raise your hand. You at the back? I guess just stand and shout. Maybe. Oh, okay. I did not know.
Yeah.
Okay, hello, good afternoon. I have a question for Warren, actually. At the beginning you mentioned you had an unconventional route towards where you are now.
Yeah.
I'm currently on an unconventional route myself, I would say. Never studied anything regarding filmmaking.
Okay.
Self-taught, YouTube, all that. But I'm trying to get where you are right now.
Okay.
You mentioned that you were an extra, but what are the steps that you take to get where you are now? I would like to.
So I started just a small. It was actually a creative studio, because basically I wanted to make film, and I couldn't study because I'd spent too many years studying art and music, and I'm like, I can't do any more studying. I just need to get out and do it. So yeah, I started. It was just two of us, and I basically started making short films for events. Anybody that wanted something filmed, I would do that. So it would be kind of like documentary style, just telling a story, really. And then people basically started coming to me and asking if they could have a similar type film. But I think most importantly is, as soon as that starts happening, as soon as you start making stuff, it's basically opportunities, and being able to find opportunities and knowing what to do with those opportunities. The people you meet, I think you need to take an interest in everybody that you meet, and listen to their origin story. So like you just asked me this question, you need to ask everybody that story, because they all love talking about themselves. And yeah, just basically, like for me, I just made friends with everybody, and yeah, it just kind of started growing. So then kind of I was on the creative side, and obviously there's running a business as well, which is always difficult. So I was lucky enough to be introduced to somebody that was working for a huge steel company. Actually, he wasn't from the industry, but he was a sales director there, and he had a love for film and photography. And I'm like, he basically quit his job. He was on a ridiculous amount of money, spent a year just sat next to me, didn't say a word. And he is now my producer. So he is the commercial side to our creative business. And that's our kind of, in a nutshell, origin story. So yeah, so I would say just make friends, and take an interest in what other people and how they got into the industry. That would be my advice. Does that answer? Yeah? Okay.
You should, it's such a, we're talking about, some of the bad bits actually of working on set and how crazy it can be, but honestly, it is such an amazing industry to work in, and you meet the most amazing people that are curious like you, like creative people who want to meet people and talk and find out what makes people tick and tell these stories. And you just have to be a nice person and make sure that you're engaging and that you make the most out of every person that you speak to, really.
Like for me, waking up every single day, and I can't wait to get to work.
Right, exactly.
I've never woken up and thought, I've got to go to work today.
Yeah. No.
It's amazing. It is truly amazing.
Unless you've had one hours. No, well, yeah, sometimes.
4 a.m. coffee.
Okay, so that's actually something that I wanted to ask. So it is really long hours, and it is quite stressful. At times. Have you guys got any tips of how to deal with that, and how to work on a block of 6-day weeks for 5 months and not see your friends? Maybe not that dramatic, but have you got any tips for long hours?
I did a block, so I was on the AD truck on 24, which shoots, it's a 24-hour thing, so for, I think it was 6 weeks we did nights. And I can't remember what time I left my house, but I kind of was, whatever time I left my house, I was back about 18 hours later, 3 hours sleep, back up, doing it again. And I think that was 11-day fortnights, which is a 5-day week and then a 6-day week. And bizarrely, it's just practical things. I lay out clothes on a Sunday, on my day off, for 5 days, because then I've got 10 extra minutes. I know it sounds insane, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Always have a toothbrush in your car. Classic. Always decide whether you like coffee or Pepsi Max, or something really bad actually, isn't it, to say, but I always had that in my car. Find either a good podcast or good driving tunes to keep you awake on the way home. But really, really importantly, if you are absolutely knackered, tell a member of the production that you're tired. Don't ever, ever, ever get in your car exhausted and want to cry. I've done it. Get back out your car and go and tell someone in production, I don't think I can drive, because everyone's been there. Also, try not to get annoyed. I don't know if you live with friends or family. Try not to get annoyed because they won't understand. They will not understand how tired you are, and especially if you live with parents or a partner, they'll see you exhausted and they won't understand why you're still getting up in 3 hours to go back and do it all again, because they don't get it. They just see you coming back half zombie. So just be prepared that you'll desperately want someone to understand and go, you're doing amazingly and I'm super proud and I'm really jealous of what you're doing, but they might not. They might just kind of, so just be prepared for that, I'd say.
Yeah.
Definitely put your clothes out before, because that's an extra
That's a
10
good
minutes,
one,
guys.
actually. Yeah.
Have them laid out.
Very good. Yeah. Do we have any more questions? Yeah. It's blue jumper.
Hi, my name's Sam. I was wondering, so you get your first job and you do pretty well. You seem to be interacting with people, and even like one of the producers starts talking to you, you make a connection sort of thing. They say to you, oh yeah, hit me up and like tell me what you're doing with your life. How do you do that without sounding like a bad date and you're like, hey, remember me? How do you do that without sounding so...
Don't ever be embarrassed of following up with your contacts. Everyone does it. Like
pretty much every January, I'm like, hi guys, I'm free again.
I think a good thing to do is see what they've been doing, so you don't approach every email, oh, can you do this for me, can you do that for me. Find out what they've produced and watch their work as well, because then you can get into a conversation with them about what they're doing rather than just, can you give me a job. So I think try and find something else that you've got in common with them that's not just about the work, and if you can form a connection like that, I think they're definitely more likely to give you work.
Like, could you, when you're typing, because obviously it's an email, you can't talk, like, because obviously when talking, we're entering a chat sort of thing, but how do we talk on email? Because you've got to be a bit professional, I suppose, so how would you
I think you can make a joke. I think you can, as long as it's a professional email. I still think you can joke in it, just... If you read it and think, oh, I don't know if I should send that, then probably don't.
No. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this is something else that I wanted to touch upon, is how you turn that first job then into repeat work and get invited back. So have you guys seen any examples of what has made you think, right, we're definitely getting that daily back in the next time, or is there anything that's put you off?
Pick nice people. I would take nice people over the most skillful person, because if you're working on a set and it's long days and you've got someone that's moaning about the food, that's moaning about the hours, that's saying they're tired every 20 seconds, they just bring the whole atmosphere of the crew down. So I think when you're producing something, you're looking at sort of an aerial view at everyone, and you want people that are positive. And I think, so even if you are on set and you're tired and you're hungry and it's been a long day, I think don't be that person that moans about it all day, because the likelihood is everyone's tired and everyone's trying to get that job done. And if you're standing out as a person that's sort of moaning about it, I think people are less likely to hire you again, because you want to keep morale up, so you want to be that positive person. So that's what I would say.
Towards the end of the shoot, just ask everybody what they're going on to next as well. So you know. Don't do anything embarrassing at a wrap party.
Never be late.
Oh, don't ever be late.
Never be late. That's one thing. If I had booked runners,
They were late.
and they were late.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started, it was, if you're there at call time, you're 15 minutes late. So be 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
100%. Because instantly you look keen, done, tick, because you're there early, and then just be nice. Be nice to everyone as well.
Yeah.
Don't ever,
Don't go up the rank and then think, well, I don't need to speak to those guys anymore.
Don't ever do that.
Do we have any other questions? I'm like struggling to see you, and I'm talking about that. Yeah.
You're getting a mic.
In terms of, I have two questions. In terms of location, like where it's best to be, I'm picking between film schools out of London and in London. I'd prefer to be in London. I hope you can back that up for me. And also, in terms of practical things like physical exertion and all of that, what kind of jobs do you find yourself doing on set? That's it.
What film schools are you looking at?
Bournemouth Film School and Westminster and Ravensbourne.
I've known a lot of people that have been to Westminster. They think it's good. I've think we've got quite a few. They're good for networking as well, because you're within London. That a lot of the tutors there have links everywhere. There's the NFTS as well.
Is that where you went?
I went to the NFTS. I studied at the New York Film Academy first, and then I went to the NFTS. But Westminster, I don't know. I think Bournemouth.
Bournemouth they have really great filmmakers coming out of there. It's really, really high standard course. Ravensbourne is similar to Westminster in that their tutors are really well connected, and a lot of them are still working in film. But yeah, Westminster's also great.
I guess because when you're in it, it's easier to get out.
Yeah.
Because most things are being shot within London. I don't know how much stuff is shot down that way.
Yeah.
Great, that helps me out a lot.
What was your other question? Sorry.
The other question was in terms of practical things, like what kind of jobs that you find yourself doing, in terms of like how you should dress for set, just being prepared.
Comfy shoes, and however nice your Topshop tea dress is, babe, don't rock up to be a runner. You know, practical.
Yeah.
A belt.
North Face.
Yeah.
North Face.
Yeah.
All black. Yeah, a belt for your radio, because the amount of times I've turned up in just jeans and it's
Pockets.
Have a Sharpie pen always.
Always, yeah.
Comfy, and you don't know if you're going to be inside, outside sometimes as a runner. So yeah, layers.
Portable charger for your phone.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good trainers, good comfy, like your trusty trainers.
Yeah.
You don't need to look nice.
Ever.
Oh my god.
You never will.
That works because I used to be a waitress. So
All right. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? Yeah. The best route. So the question was, if you guys can hear, do you think that the best route is going through film schools? Oh, I mean, I studied photography, and the way that I got into film was I studied photography. I worked as a photographer. I realised I hated working as a photographer, and then I took photos at a casting, and then I was like, oh my god, people hire people to hire people on the screen. This is amazing. So I went through it that way. So actually for me, university for me was not the right route for me, but I didn't study film, and if I could go back now and I wasn't a silly 19-year-old picking photography, not that that's silly, but it wasn't right for me, then yeah, I would have gone to film school personally. What do you guys think?
I think it depends on the type of person you are. Like,
Yeah.
I know that when I didn't go to film school, but I knew that I wanted to work. Like, I knew that studying for 3 wasn't going to do it for me. But then I'm not a DOP, so I think it depends. What part of the industry, what do you think you want to do? Yeah, then I mean that's probably a question
Well,
for you.
I didn't go to film school, but I've actually got somebody starting with us in May, and he was in school. He basically was another person that knocked on our door and was like, I want to learn motion graphics and production. And he was still in school, so he used to come in his school uniform, maybe in our studio, and yeah, I'm like, yeah, cool. And he's like, I don't want to go to film school. I want to come and work for you. And I'm like, mate, you need to go and do your thing. You need to go to university, go to film school. And he's done it, he's gone through, and now he's starting full-time with us in May. And yeah, he's like amazing. He's learned so much by doing that, the network and the people that he's been working with, plus you get to have lots of fun as well. So so I would recommend film school, definitely.
Yeah. And he actually went to, Joe,
Yeah.
he went to Bournemouth,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is really good film school.
If it's camera stuff, there's also camera kit houses. So you can start there, then you really get to know the kit. So you know what the lenses do, you know which camera bodies get what kind of thing on screen. So, and also then sometimes you'll basically rent out as a DIT. So that's where editing would start coming in. So you can go out with the camera kit and a laptop, and you get all the rushes back, and you're putting it on, and you're starting to grade it. So that's an in where a lot of the camera guys I know started working in the kit houses. And it's great because you're surrounded by everyone else who's super excited about all the lenses and everything as well.
Yeah, you can proper geek out.
Proper geek out with it. Yeah.
Did you do that?
No, but I know all the geeks there.
Oh, okay.
They get so excited. They're just such a lovely bunch as well.
Cool. Right, one more question we have time for.
I'm from Lincolnshire, so we're known for farming, not for like any sort of media production. So I would like to enter the industry, but I find it incredibly hard to because there's no options for runners anywhere. I've looked so hard. The only film production thing I ever found was a film crew came to Grimsby to film the Grimsby movie, but they got chased out because the people of the town didn't want it filmed there. So it's really hard for me to find any sort of industry experience. I was just wondering if any of you had any advice.
My geography is really bad. Where is Lincoln near?
It's right under Yorkshire.
Okay, so there's quite a bit that happens in Yorkshire at the moment, and maybe it's coming down to Manchester. Media City's there, so I know Media City do. We have offices in Media City, so I know there's a lot of TV companies in there. But I think there's a lot more now. Is it Channel 4 that have gone to Leeds?
Yeah, Leeds. Yeah.
So I think a lot of the industry now we're seeing like Cardiff's booming, and I think the North is really starting to take off. So I think it might not be happening right this second, so you might have to go out a little bit, but I think that will change.
Do you drive?
No, I can't afford to.
Fair. It's really expensive. So yeah, I mean it would be in those areas, Leeds, but there is a load of stuff going on in Yorkshire, but like you said, you know, it's stuff that unless you're within those circles, you don't really know it's happening until it's happening and you see them shooting. Maybe look at so like for Wales we have like local film council, and like in London we have Film London, so you can find out what's filming in the area. I don't know if is that readily available?
Well, my first films I made when I got funding from the council, and that's in London, so there's a lot of competition there, so I definitely would get in touch with your local council and look at what sort of creative projects that are sort of happening, and you can apply for funding through council. You just sometimes have to think outside of the box a little bit, but you can start making your own work.
And I suppose the good thing that you've got is there's less competition.
Yeah.
So it would be easier for you to raise your profile where you are than it would necessarily be someone who's in London, because there's lots of people all doing the same thing. So where you are, So just think outside the box, definitely.
Do you make your own work? Sorry, I'm interviewing you now. Do you make your own work?
Yeah, I do. I've got a website and a Tumblr portfolio where I put all my work, and a YouTube channel where I upload anything I do.
Awesome. Yeah, keep doing that, and I mean, hopefully those
Creative
other tips
North,
might be...
I think Creative North have
Creative North.
as well. Check them out.
Thanks very much.
Cool. Okay, so run over by 5 minutes. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today, and thank you for these amazing people that I have the pleasure of working with. Thank you.